Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Bokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talking about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Well, ever since the first round of the elections were over, we are now in for runoff. In the first round of elections, we saw that President Weah and former Vice President Joseph Newman Boakai are going in for the runoff. In the elections, President Weah came up with 43.83%. The former Vice President Boakai came up with 43.44%, meaning they are going into the runoff. President Weah won the first round with 7,126 votes. So in the runoff, what we are saying now is they are talking. And so we are likening it to in the football world where trade is going on. So they are going through trade talks. And the deadline for the talks ends on November 12th. That will be the end of campaigning for the second round. Second round is slated for November 14th. So we say the political trade talks towards November 14th runoff. The big players, who are they? What is their worth? What value would they be adding to the potential new teams they be going to? With me to discuss all this, I have the host of G's Talk, Glendy Jean Genius. Glendy, welcome to Focus on Liberia. If you can unmute.
Thank you, Dennis. Hello, everybody. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Let me welcome our governance advisor, Mr. Admer K. Salif.
Timothy, Abigail.
Thank you, Dennis. Let's go between the headlines. I'm looking forward to it.
Also going between the headlines is a Gonglo supporter, Mr. Ambula Mame. Perhaps Mr. Mame is also involved in the trade talks, but we'll find out. Mr. Mame, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. It's good to be here.
Let me also welcome the supporter of Mr. Joseph Newman Boakai. That's Comrade Joe Wilson. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis, and it's good to be back on the show.
Thank you. Joe is the VP involved in any trade talk. All right, we'll find out.
Conversations are going on.
All right. Let me also welcome Jimmy Eastman. He's our co-host here at Focus on Liberia. Mr. Eastman is a technology guru. Welcome, Jimmy.
Hey, well, glad to be here, Dennis. Many exciting things going on. we're about to enter maybe a new era in our country. So we're looking forward to what reveals itself.
Thank you. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia, and here we discuss the discussion we have here. You don't find them anywhere on the planet about and for Liberia. And I want to start by saying, we're going into runoff, but something that we've not been able to mention is what happens if the runoff go into 50-50. I mean, some say it's statistically impossible. Some say it has never happened before. But what if that happens? Do we have laws on the book that will address such situation? Jimmy, you are thinking very deeply, I can see. Have you thought about that, Jimmy?
Yes, usually when it involves something tie like that, bodies that don't ordinarily vote will be given that chance to vote. So, for instance, the election commissioners are neutral or supposed to be neutral. So maybe in an event of a tie, they will allow them to exercise their voting franchise. That's what I can see. That's the most likely solution to such a situation. Just allow more people to cast their ballots.
Are you saying that's law, or that's what you think?
No, I don't think it was written in the law. When just like you said, but I think they will make an adjustment, and should it, sometimes you have to make laws or adjustments as situations present themselves.
Mr. Wilson, this seems very impossible, or whatever.
Well, Dennis,
I mean, what happens?
I would say statistically, it is near impossible to happen. And the chances of these things happening in the national elections, they're very slim, right? So we want to look at the statistical significance of this happening. Realistically, we can see that if we were discussing parliamentarian elections in the context of a speakership or a pro tem, sort of leadership, that's where you see these kind of things happening. But there are too many scenarios that go into national elections. The possibility of invalid votes, the chances of people voting, just too many things. So it is near impossible. I look forward to seeing that happen. But in the event it happens, I think there are election laws that govern the procedures and how to settle those matters. But I think it is statistically impossible to have a 50-50 tie in a national elections of this sort.
Right. But is that something you think within the Waka orbit, within the Unity Party that is being discussed?
We're going to beat George Weah.
All right.
That is our conversation. We're beating George Weah flat, face down.
Mr. Mame, what if we get 50-50? What happens? Do you know? First of all, I just want to say, have you heard this discussion anywhere else? People talking about it?
No, I've not heard anybody. Maybe you overthinking the whole election, yes. So
I'm a thinker. That's why I don't grow that tall.
Yeah, you overthinking the whole process. So you're thinking about 50-50, but even if it could happen somewhere, it will not happen in our election. So we'll not worry about that. But it's good sometimes to just overthink these things. Maybe read it somewhere in the law. Who knows? One day it could happen. And then you already have a law to decide on what happens in the event where, you get 50-50. But for this election, no, we're not going to 50-50.
Glennie, what do you think about that? Is that worth discussing at all? You're muted, Glennie.
I mean, anything is okay to discuss. It's conversational. Will it happen? I doubt it seriously for Liberia. I also don't think that I wanted to go back to Jimmy's comment when he said that maybe it might end up going to the elections commission. Then we'll be on to whoever is running against Weah, because the election commission They're under the under President Weah's government. They work for President Weah. So even if it went to them, the votes will go to him. That's what I'm surmising. But I don't think there's a possibility for that to happen. If it does, they may have to do something to be able to see which side, because who is going to accept whatever rule they come up with to be able to fix that issue. I don't think it's something that's going to be possible for Liberia. I think the people will vote. I'm hoping that the opposition leaders will merge, come together, so that George Weah does not get a second term.
Thank you.
Hey, Dennis, I just got a text from somebody from the Election Commission. They say if it comes to a tie, they will roll Coco Missy.
Look at those.
Jimmy, you're not serious, right?
He's not serious.
All right. When I was thinking about this, three suggestions came. Say the first thing is an automatic recount. Second, it probably go to the legislature to decide whether it's a third round or they can, as Jimmy said, throw the Cocoa and Missy. But luckily, we have the governance advisor in the house. Mr. Salif, has this happened in the history of Liberia? And is this something that plausible, possible, impossible?
Well, if you have once you have a statistical event that involves binary numbers, yes, there's a statistical possibility, but it's highly improbable. If it were to happen, what we've seen in other contexts, given I haven't seen this in our new election law at all, and not in the Constitution. I just read just today the constitutional provision. What we see in other contexts, including here in the U.S., is there's certainly a margin when it gets to then it triggers an automatic recount. Now we don't know if that's what we will resort to. Our context is a bit different, but it's something to think about, to have a conversation around, because elections can be drivers of conflict. We don't want that to happen, but I don't see it happening at all.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Between the Headlines on Focus on Labrador. That was just the water cooler discussion. Today, we want to talk about the political trade talks that are going on. A couple of pictures emerged today talking about that they are political leaders. We have President Weah and the former Vice President Boakai accounting for about 87% of the vote. So there's 13%. So they're going to be kind of going after the 13%, and I will add plus invalid votes if they become valid. So within that, so they are talking. So today, what I want us to look at is who are the big players in these trade talks? Is it Councillor Gonglo? Is it Mr. Cummings? Is it Mr. Edward Appleton? Is it Mr. Lucini Camara? I always get that name mixed up with another Lucini. Is it Lucini Camara? Is it Edward Appleton? Is it Musa Belete and Amara Kone? I want to put them together because those are two guys that people want their vote, right? And Musa already stated that he's not going to be voting for somebody in the election, so we want to know. And another thing I want us to look at is Prince Johnson on the market? Is he part of the political trade talks? With all that, but let me show you what happened today, and the pictures are all over the internet. As the trade talks go on, we see that this is how some people are trying to paint as if Labrador was some electoral college, but this is the picture people are painting, and I want to show that to you. So you have people meeting today. You see the trade talks going on. You can recognize the faces. But down here, you see Mr. Boakai, Mr. Appleton, and Mr. Ellis Gunty, who is the vice presidential running mate of Mr. Appleton. Mr. Appleton has become famous in this election, so that's why I want to mention him. You see Mr. Boakai and Mr. Cummings. We also see President Weah and Mr. Cummings. You see the whole group there, Mr. Boakai and his team, plus Mr. Cummings and his team, plus Mr. Boakai and his team as well. And these pictures continue. I mean, This is, somebody told me, it's breathtaking. So that tells us that political trade talks are going on. Let me start with Glendy. It said, am I overthinking this? As Mame said, are there big players? And is it worth anything for this person to endorse that person in this runoff?
Dennis, I'm taking it back because I don't know what's breathtaking about those pictures. I
Well,
don't understand what's breathtaking about it. I mean, I didn't see anything that's standing out. Yes, we saw that people, I mean, we expect that they will be talking, but
I mean,
to describe it as breathtaking,
have we ever expected President Weah and Mr. Cummings to be standing together? And
of course, especially with the results you have, we all should be able to talk to every single one of those
but it has
presidents.
never happened in the 6 years that this people. But anyway, go ahead.
So it's politics. It's at a time where they need everybody, so they're gonna reach out to everybody. So when you say there are big players, everybody, Cummings can be considered in the big league. I have my own list that don't match yours.
Okay.
Gonglo should be on that list. Moniba should be on that list. Lucini and Sarah Beslow. I think Sarah Beslow should be on that list because she's the only female woman candidate who ran in these elections. So they should be able to engage her. I'm not going to put that appetite factor because I think he's just right. You know, the Liberian put that Charohi on. All of a sudden he becomes lucky and he becomes popular and the Liberian people have recognized him by giving him votes no matter how he got it. So he's moving around in a charade. I'm not going to count him, but I think there are some big players in the league right now that they need to be able to reach out to all of them and talk to them. Now, will it make a difference? I doubt it. One of the things Sarah Besser is pushing for to protect Liberian votes, she now has a campaign out there going out. She has an email address asking people to volunteer and stuff to protect Liberian votes. If they vote like they voted on the last, like in the first round, then I don't think whoever joins, whatever, I think Boyka is still going to win it based on what we're hearing. I think it's for me. I don't think there will be anything gained from there. But there's nothing wrong with reaching out and talking to people. It's just starting. There will be more. They will talk. So just as they shared Boyka picture today, of course, my favorite Yeke Koluba also share here and Phoebe Boyka picture. So everybody, I must say, I'm looking for my own picture to share it. So it's time for that. It's a charade that's going on. Now you think by them taking those pictures, it's like people saw the Cummings and Boyka first and say, oh, and then later they saw that we had two was there and said, oh, and then they see Appleton. Of course, we expect them to talk to one another. I don't think the pictures will show us how they're going to cast their votes, or the pictures won't show us which side they're going to be supporting. So I'm not going to believe in those pictures and those meetings. Whatever they need to do, they already know.
Mr. Mame, is there any value in even getting these other political parties to join this side or that side?
I think there's a value. They constitute a good portion of what we're looking for beyond just victory.
You think their voters will follow them?
Come again?
You think their voters will follow them wherever they go?
They may not necessarily follow them. And that doesn't mean they're not significant in the process or there's no value in reaching out and talking to them. So I do not believe that their supporters will just jump up and follow them, because I have a privileged opportunity to talk to supporters. I mean, in a meeting, discussing the possibilities of, and the group is divided. Some people want to say, no, let's support A, let's support B. Some people say, no, let's just remain independent. That sample size tells you that no matter the decision a politician makes, everybody will just rally behind him and start supporting. Even look at ANC today. People from ANC on their own, some are declaring support for Joseph Boakai. Some are declaring support for George Weah. Some are saying they will remain silent. Some are officially declare support for George Weah. officially declared support for Joseph Walker. And some have said they're not participating in the second round. But to your question, yes, it is important to reach out to them. There's a value in talking to them and getting them on board, not necessarily or only because of winning the election, but how can they bring their expertise towards governance? The only thing I have a little bit of nuance with is the hype that they put on some of these things, as if the election is bordered around it, that if the person doesn't endorse, everybody looking for recognition, everybody looking for the morale and the stuff like that. That's where I disagree, but yes, they are important. They need to talk to them. They need to be, part of the decision-making process for governance, even for election purposes. The guy they are following, people will support them just because they call your name and say, yes, I support Boakai, or I support Kumis, or I support We Are Rather. They have people who will follow them for that reason. But the talking about value, I think the value has been overstated, especially for some people. The value has been overstated. And we need to, try to be realistic with some of the things we do. Some of them making unnecessary demands. I can tell you for sure, one presidential candidate asked somebody to call me. It's way down the line. And then say, how is the whole negotiation doing with George? Have they called your candidate? So I say, what's the question about? I say, because nobody now call us. I say, okay. So he's waiting for call. Now he's waiting for call. Tomorrow he goes there and take picture with the president and take picture with Waka and spread social media that he's into negotiation and making decision for second round.
Yeah.
So people are just making hype out of these things, big news, trying to show they are relevant still, even though they underperform in the election. So they do all these things to show that they are still relevant. But I mean, the election is over. We see that the country is divided based on the results between George Weah and Joseph Boakai. But yes, these people are very significant to talk to. They have followings. They have contributions to make, to the governance process. They have contributions to make to reconciling the country. The country is divided heavily. The person who will win the election has a huge task to reconcile this country. And all these political actors are very important elements in our reconciliation process.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. In Labrador, they say the rain fill out the bucket and the dew will fill it. I mean, these things, the people that we saw standing together now, is like some of these discussions should have been held yesterday, right? So same question for Mami is the worth. What's the value? And if you are placing value on each of them, will you say, let's use 10 million as the highest here. Will you say Cummings worth 10 million, Gonglo 2 million, Moneybar 6 million? How do you value all these big players in this trade talk?
So I think the conversation we are seeing is helpful. It doesn't matter whether it should have happened yesterday and it is happening today. The most important thing is that active political actors are coming together, and trying to find a forward march for the country. And the aspiration of that is to beat George Weah. So that is the primary goal we have here. But placing a price tag on these individuals is difficult to some extent because each one of these actors bring a unique skill set or expertise or political value to the conversation. The likes of Alexander Cummings, we know the expertise Alexander Cummings has. We know that in terms of rallying the mass voter population in Liberia, that's not something that worked for him. However, there are other ways we can leverage the expertise of Cummings. Cummings can also support a Joseph Yoman Boakai for the good of the country. So I don't think monetary value is what I want to place on these individuals, but I'll look at the unique expertise and backgrounds that they come with. What I don't subscribe to is the relevance we're giving to the likes of Appleton. For one person, I don't subscribe to that. I don't think Appleton is of any political significance.
Zero.
And the reasons are simple. we that have consistently followed Liberian history for the amount of time we have been on planet Earth, we know a political influencer, we know an actor when we see one, within the political landscape of Liberia. Appleton has no political influence in the country. Appleton cannot move a needle in Liberia. Appleton only gate crashed the process. So I think he's giving undeserving attention. However, when you in these kind of processes, sometimes you benefit, from these kind of things unnecessarily. I think Appleton, if he was like a cryptocurrency, right now Appleton would have increased the stock because because everyone is, when you're trading a car, you move by the sentiments, the emotions, all of these things. But the real value of Appleton cannot be cannot be traced. So I don't think having Cummings in the room is equivalent to having Appleton in the room. I don't think having Gonglo in the room is equivalent to having Appleton in the room. I think these individuals should be treated at a different level, But I appreciate the fact that Joseph Yuma Bwaka, being the statement he is, being the leader he is, being respectful, and not discriminatory. He reached out to Appleton, right? So it doesn't matter who you are. And that is just a reinforcement of what he said in his speech, that honor a Joseph Yuma Bwaka presidency, Liberians from all walks of life will get involved. There will not be a discriminatory involvement because of where you come from. You come from the southeastern region, so you have to be a chairman. You have to be minister, deputy minister. No, this is not what we are talking about. Honor a Joseph Yuma Bwaka. So yeah, Appleton is benefiting from where things are right now. Unfortunately,
Mr. Wilson, what I don't understand here is you're saying these politicians, is it solely to get votes or is for governing? Because when you were talking about Cummings, what I was hearing is like it's not so much about, but what will Cummings bring in maybe a Joseph Newman Bwaka government, or are you speaking specifically about how much vote they're going to bring to the ticket? Because we're talking about 12.3. Like when I did the math here, both Weah and Bwaka have 87.27%. The rest have 12.73. So these negotiations, they are about this 12.73.
So we have to put things in perspective and not discuss this election as if to say we are strangers, right? So with that being said, the likes of Cummings, of course, Cummings will bring some votes, right? CPP is a structure, ANC is a structure. And even if it is 0.00%, that's vote. The reason why ANC will have a higher political value as compared to Appleton, ANC is a well-structured and organized party that is rooted to some extent in Liberia. ANC cuts across. ANC is now just one of the individuals that just came to the discourse, right? So the value I would discuss with ANC, I cannot give it to Appleton. I'll be honest. You can't do that. Gonglo as a person, the personality, the persona Gonglo has, that alone can bring vote. Dennis, what do you know of Appleton? You've been around longer than me. What do you know of Appleton?
Glendy would know because he was part of the Texas ANC.
But I'm not from ANC. I know Appleton from Cathedral High School. I know him from Cathedral.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Salif here. Mr. Salif here again. You have almost 90% of the vote from Bwaka and Weah. Are they wasting time with this 12.7% instead of maybe going campaigning? Everybody is meeting everybody. Is this worth the time?
It should go campaign.
No, it's not. It's not a waste of time at all. I think I will go with what Comrade Wilson was saying. This is the time for cooler heads to prevail. This is the time to reconcile the country, to demonstrate leadership, national leadership, reconcile the people, signal that if you win, and when you win, if that's what you think, you also be a government of national inclusion. You also will be one of bringing the country together. That's what Liberia needs at this time. So some of these are very conciliatory, I would say. Some of them somewhat trying to garner enthusiasm, trying to console people, essentially. And one thing we have to remember too, sometimes there's this sympathy factor. Oh my God, I thought Cummings was going to get more votes. Why did this man, has done so much? He's invested his time and resources in the country, and yet he has not been able to garner that kind of national following and enthusiasm. So after the fact, that after effect could also take place, and the good offices of the individuals themselves that you were talking about, the Gonglo factor, the Alexander Cummings. Let's face it. I mean, these are prominent Liberian citizens who have followings, who have people who love them, people who worked for them. Those people, if you look at the sort of multiplicational effect, those people have families, have friends, have communities. And you were just asking us, the very first question was, what if this thing ends into a 50-50 tie? Right? So one vote, two votes can make the whole difference. These are very important talks. On the one hand, that's how I see it. That's what I hope it is. On the other hand, what we know about Liberia, unfortunately, our country, corruption is an issue. People look out for themselves more than they look out for the country, more than they look out for the Liberian people, the ordinary Liberian person. Some of these people, go to election for different reasons. And people all over the world go to run for office for different reasons. Some run to win. Some run knowing they will not win. They want to become a household name, maybe for next time or for some other purposes. Or maybe they want to be able to be in an advantageous situation where they can negotiate for jobs for themselves, negotiate for jobs for people around them. That's some of what's happening. People are talking about money, people are talking about jobs and talking about positions. I'll end with this. To me, no one should promise anyone job or anyone's party, any ministry or any agency. That's not what this ought to be about. Because we all have been listening to you all. I don't think there'll be significant sway one way or the other because the Liberian people have decided upon two individuals. So really significantly, we know the votes are divided between two people. Of course, any vote matters, right? But to say because Mr. Cummings would endorse this candidate over that other candidate, therefore this candidate will win, and hence Mr. Cummings has this advantage to make demands, or Appleton has this advantage to make demands out of them. I don't think if I'm advising out of these candidates, I would say don't offer anybody anything. They don't want to endorse you, let them go away. Go on and campaign, talk to people. And second round, it's not really about campaigning. This is the time to really be strategic and focus on getting people out to vote. That GOTV, a grand game, get out the vote. That's what matters in the end.
Jimmy, is this whole trade talk going on now? Is it for votes? Is it symbolism? Is it a morale booster? What is it?
Well, there's a dynamics in politics about winners and losers attitude after such an election. Losers tend to be more less satisfied with the political system, and where new winners tend to be more satisfied. So what's happening here now is the losers will to win them over, especially where there's talk that the votes were not counted properly. People didn't expect the kind of results they get. They're suspect over it. On this platform, we heard several times people don't even want to give Appleton his due respect, given he came in third in the elections. All these dynamics play a significant part on how people will react going forward. But I would say it all depends on the influence of the leaders of these parties on their followers. People may support a person, a candidate, but do not share the same opinion about other things. So So, like me, for instance, I believe somebody like Councilor Gongo, people believe in him because of the kind of individual he is. And I believe he may wield a little more influence over his followers simply because of the idealism that he presents or he embodies. Whereas someone from that, simply got popular, who people don't know, like people have accused Appleton here that they don't know of his platform, they don't know what he's doing. How much influence will he have? But you could be gambling because he may just have hidden influence because he did say third place. Now, if we're going to have to, unless somebody can prove it differently, then we're going to have to say that he is the third most influential candidate in the race. And if he is, then you have to give him the due recognition, simply because unless you're going to say that the election results were not generic, they were not fair. And if you believe that, well, then the next step is who's going to get what in a runoff, because all bets are off once you say the counting or the ballot counting was not accurate. All bets are off. So I think right now, even those candidates that won for different positions, like senatorial, like people like Amara Khan, all of those people right now are influential, and they can help sway some votes. So there's nobody that's not significant now. So this process is helpful if you can get that support from the people you're going out after.
So what are these candidates, Waka and Wia? What are they looking for from these losers, as you call them?
We're definitely looking for their vote tomorrow, and they'll make different appeals to them. I do see people talking about positions for their people, and then some may be talking about money. We've heard this pay to play before. It's not the first time. So it all depends on how these negotiations go on. But the more influential candidates will really bear a bigger significance than those who simply don't embody an idealism that the people have been following.
Thank you. So number 3 in the election is, drum roll, Edward Appleton. Let's listen to him.
God-fearing people of Liberia, from Grand Cape Mountain County, Cape Mesurado, Cape Thomas, the vice standard bearer and officer, members of the grassroots development movement, members of the Fourth Estate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I first must thank God for his grace and blessings. They say I'm a ghost. I am not. They say our party was set up to disrupt the electoral process. That is not true. They say we have endorsed a candidate. Not true. Because we have not thanked the Liberian people and the grassroots yet. They say that I, the standard bearer, have left the country. Not true. I am here in front of you.
Edward Appleton, I think you saw more plantain leaves than the Appleton voters. So now,
You just alluded to what I said, Dennis.
Go ahead, Joe. Let's discuss this because he's third, right? So let's discuss these big players in the market one at a time. We're talking about their value and what it's going to bring, for which Mr. Boakai or Mr. Wia, they're talking to them.
So I think just by the press conference Appleton had, it further exposed him. A man who amalgamated that significant number of the votes, a third place winner in an election, just ended elections, where the momentum is still high. You know, the political energy is still electrifying across. The man had a press conference. You can literally count the number of people at his press conference. Look, listen to me. I think he just benefiting from the wave of the current, but you know, if we're into data, we say the devil is always in the details. So I wouldn't be carried away by whatsoever percentage Appleton accumulated. But if you kind of look further into the data, you understand the circumstances under which Appleton gathered those votes. And Appleton is not politically relevant. He has no influence within the body politics of Labrador. Let not the numbers fool you. Only strangers will be carried away by the numbers they see on paper of Appleton. So, yeah, the individuals I think Mr. Boyka really need to have a good conversation and really need to strategize more. You talk about the likes of Cummings. Of course, Alexander Cummings, yeah, CPP is there. CPP can cut across. CPP can support Boyka's campaign with in so many ways. Political machinery, political propaganda, votes outreach, so many ways. The likes of Gonglo cut across several votes. Of course,
why
the
is
NEMA
Mr. Boyka meeting Appleton?
But of course, this is Boyka. Boyka being the human he is, right? I mean, he's a nice old man.
Is he not strategic?
No, he's strategic. That is the
What
reason
is he
why
going to
he's not
get from Appleton as you have
He's
described
going to
him?
meet everyone that's involved in the elections. Even if you have to meet with George Weah, you will do that. This is what Omen
But
Boyka
Mr.
is.
Boyka
This
has
is
no
a
history
persona.
of meeting people like that. He doesn't meet. He doesn't really meet people. Are you saying he's going to meet with vote? I did vote with Lenu and all these people.
He is going to meet. It may not be he in person meeting with everyone, but Boyka is going to meet people. You're going to send emissaries. People are going to go out and reach out and support. Listen, we are at a stage where the country needs to mobilize and rally around a common cause. And the most existential threat to Liberia right now is the presidency of George Manuel Weah. We have to kick Weah out. That is the biggest thing. And I always make reference to what the women of Liberia did in 2003 during a comprehensive peace agreement. The most significant thing at the time was restoring peace to Liberia. And the Liberian women were courageous enough to even threaten the gun-toting machineries of this rebel movement to the extent everyone saw that Liberia needed to move forward. This is similar upon what the country is right now. Everyone knows very well that Liberia needs to move forward. And the only way is to get George Weah out. So, listen to me. What we need to do right now is focus more. Energize the likes of Prince Johnson. Of course, you know the influence of Prince Johnson. The NEMA votes means a whole lot. If you look at going back to the original voter registration, NEMA County, I think, had about 12% of the votes, right? And that vote was kind of, to some extent, honored by the likes of Tiawanse Gonglo. So these are the individuals we need to have real conversation with. Appleton is not going to bring in real votes.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, he's not going to bring in real votes. I wouldn't even have to be elevating him around here. I don't care what people think, but I believe he's not a political influence to the discourse right now.
Dennis,
Yeah.
even me, when I do my leg colo, I can get more than 300 views. The man is in number 3. He only had 123 views. Are you serious? On his whole press conference today, 123 people view it. And this is the man we should come and spend time when we all know there are factors that are now being blamed for why he has the number that he has. He's not a factor to me. I don't even care if he came second.
So why is Mr. Boyka wasting time on him?
Well, it's not a waste of time. I think Boyka is going to reach out to everybody. If Joe Boyka is going, I'm going back to what Mr. Salif said. If Joe Boyka is going to be the president, I think it's a good thing for him to meet everybody. So I just think maybe we don't even know. Maybe Appleton was the one that say, Uncle Joe, I'm coming to see you. We don't know that. We don't know.
But allow me to ask Glendy a question. Allow me to ask Glenny. Glenny, let's say you're right. Then what mechanism was used that he got so many votes if he's not significant? How did he get all those votes? And more importantly, how can that same mechanism be used again?
So you also have to factor in the invalid votes. Over 100,000. Have you thought about the fact that over 100,000 votes could have gone to somebody else? Some of those 100,000
Exactly.
votes that became invalid could have gone to Cummings. Have we
Right.
considered that? So
That's most
if
important.
you consider 100,000 votes invalid, and let's assume if was for Cummings, would that not put it up to 120? So you have to consider that. So because 100,000 votes were invalid votes, we don't know for a fact whether those people that votes that were cast as invalid, whether those votes belong to Cummings or not, or even Gonglo, Councillor Gonglo. So yes, we understand that there, and the thing about Liberia, they can say, when you hear Liberia, they say there's some truth to it. So we just don't want to ignore that.
Right. I want to know that. Mr. Saleh, is there more value in going after invalid votes than going after the likes of Appleton?
I like to think both. Okay, so today I listened to the election, the press conference that the election commission held, and actually I've focused on library reporter Molba asked a question about why this high invalid vote. I mean, this could amount to a whole county. I think more than the whole vote River says got, or I don't know, close to Bapulu's vote. Well, why did so many invalid votes? And some of the excuses were, they said some people were just tired. There were so many. You're contending with 60 different candidates from the representative, senate, and all the presidential candidates, and so some people just voted their thing, right? And as a result, whoever the cast that vote for was also rendered invalid. Appleton, other theory I've heard is because it's sort of a sequence of placement, right? It's close, it's on top of on the ballot, and so people were tired and they didn't do CVE, no civic voter education. NEC acknowledged that today as a major error, and they said they will fix it. I don't know how they'll fix it in a short span of time. But what I'm looking at as a leader, these two candidates, each of them is saying, I'm going to be the president. If I'm going to be the president, I'm going to have to look presidential. Part of looking and behaving presidential and being honest and sincere about it is embracing everybody. Those who contested and lost, because it takes courage and resources and time and energy to put yourself out there, put yourself on the ballot. Like I said earlier, people will follow you. Whether it's 2% or 1%, you have some kind of movement, something happened. So something brought you to the table. And so we can't ignore that. A true leader will not ignore that. How does what does that amount to? That's the question that we have to try to answer now. Again, we don't know the circumstances around the number of votes Mr. Appleton got. We just do not know. I've heard all kinds of theories, and I'm not going to elevate some of that here tonight. But frankly, I will intend to agree with Wilson that I don't think Mr. Appleton will move votes significantly that you ought to, bet your political and social capital on. But to me,
that's why I was asking Mr. Saleh. Sorry to interrupt you. That's why I was asking. I mean, don't you rather go after the invalid votes? Know what
I'll go after the invalid votes. I will say why did this high number of invalid votes? What happened? Something went wrong. Let's fix it. That's what I said earlier. GOTV, get out the vote. That's where the strategy, the resources should go now. It's not about going around the country campaign. You've already done that. You've campaigned, unless you didn't go to the Southeast. Now you say, I'm going to the Southeast. Maybe that would make sense to me. Yeah. But where you are now, you're negotiating with people on your behalf to have quiet conversation, to deploy people, have pool washer, correct all the errors that happened in your camp and you saw happen nationally, engage with the election commission to correct some of the technical problems that may have led to this massive number of invalid votes, and then get people out there to have conversation door to door, village to village, get people out to vote. That's all you need now.
Mr. Mame, let's look at Lucini Kamara, Musa Belete, Amara Kone. You can get more votes from them, right? And if you consider, where they are, their demographic that support them, why are they not being prominent in these trade talks?
I think I think maybe because two of the political parties that are in the race have established, maybe through backdoor negotiations, that Lucini Kamara is supporting somebody, he's not supporting me. So no need to make noise about it. Cummings is seen in the picture today because he has not provided any indication of supporting anybody. So everybody running after him. So maybe Akop situation is George Weah is convinced that Akop will not support him, support Joseph Boakai, so no need to, bother himself talking about it, even though I know there have been negotiations. But to your question, if I were, if Gonglu was in the second round, I would spend more time talking to candidates, representative candidates that won their various seats, senatorial candidates that won their seats, as opposed to the 1.2% people, 1%, 2% people. There are other candidates, though, like in the case of Gonglu, not because I support him. Prince Johnson and the United Party can attribute their relative low performance in Nima County to their own Gonglu. When Prince Johnson contested as the only presidential candidate, he got over 70% of the vote in Nima. And plus adding to Joseph Boakai, we expected that performance to be more than that. But it did not go up to 70% because of the Gonglu's factor. So if you see the election in Nima, you realize that Gonglu actually took a good number of votes that would have otherwise gone to either Boakai or George Weah. So in that case, in the Nima scenario, people want to talk to him, people want to engage him to be able to shift that vote on their side. But where can you identify as a potential stronghold for Appleton that you want to pull vote from? It's difficult to establish.
It's throughout the country.
But you go Kima, you get 1,000 somewhere. I mean, it's a scatter plot across the place. And there are a lot of theories behind how he got his vote. Some people attribute it to people making mistake. When they saw the ballot paper, they made mistake. Maybe they wanted to vote for Boakai and they mistakenly voted for Appleton and stuff like that. So Lucini Kamara and the rest of the other people you call, like I said, the four in the category that I was talking about. Musa Belete won his seat in Nima. You want to talk to him. Amara Kone won his seat in Bapolu County. You want to talk to him. And who want to talk to him more? George Weah should be talking to Amara more because Amara found himself in a county that Joseph Boakai won. So as senator of the people, he found himself in a tricky situation to leave his people's decision and support Weah. And Weah will be looking at Amara and say, okay, since I did not win vote there, I have a political kingmaker in Bapolu County that I can talk to sway votes to me, saying I did not perform the way I anticipated. So he want to talk to Amara. For the Lucini Kamara situation, we have said this before. We said it somewhere else. He represents a political party that has a good number of their supporters are Muslims. It's a political party that cut across different tribes and different religions. But the fact is, good number of Muslim people support them, good number of Mandingo people support them, and several other tribes. The situation he found himself in is, for example, in Nimba, there have been the consistent thing in Nimba that, this group of people who support Lucinis Camara's party are not with the Nimbayans. You can't trust them. They don't stand with us. When there are issues, when there are time of crisis, when there are time for us to fight for Nimba, they don't stand with us. So this could be a situation where they stand with the Gio and the Manon people, the majority in Nimba. Let me not put tribe to it. So the majority in Nimba often accuse them of not standing with them. You can go back in history to the situation of Do, when they said that the minority group in Nimba at the time was snitching on the majority group to Do. That's how Alhaji Nkrumah got into the picture and became a target. So there has been this perception about them that they're not supporting the one Nimba agenda. They're not supporting the Kwadu, Nimba Kwadu.
Right.
They are just, passing by and passing through. So this could be an opportunity for them to say, no, we support the Nimba Kwadu. We support the one Nimba agenda. We see our Nimba brother on the ballot as a vice presidential candidate, so we stand with him. The same story applies to them in Lofa County. There's this theory, they are strangers. They are strangers. They don't support the Lofa agenda. This could be an opportunity for them to say, oh no, we see our brother in the race, we see our son in the race, and we support Joseph Boakai and stand with them. To not do it, you give people reason to believe that, oh yeah, what the people been saying is true. The people are in Nimba, they don't support the Nimba Kwadu. They don't support the one Nimba agenda. That's the reason why they're not supporting, Joseph Boakai ticket, because Alexander Kuhn is on the ticket. So political parties like CDC should really think critically about how, and even United Party, how they're running behind these 1%, 2%, and spend their resources more strategically. Look at these candidates who won good margin in their districts and go to them at that grassroots level and engage them to mobilize their people to go and vote for you, because there will be voter apathy. Some people will not just want to go and participate because they already elected a representative. They feel okay. How do you mobilize these people to go back to the polls and vote for you? The 1% group will not do it. The 1% group is very important to make statement, to raise momentum, but the people on the ground will be able to
you need all that.
Yeah.
You need all that. So now, Glendy, these are political trade talks. Who stand to benefit from them more? President Weah or Boakai?
I don't know. I don't know who's going to benefit, because I don't know how easily they will be able to sway people. I like the thought that Mama just shared, where instead of trying to run to presidential candidates to talk to them, go talk to the different representatives that won in the different areas. I think if you do that, like for example, Amara Kone, if winning Bapolo, that's huge. If you do that, I think that will give you more traction, because you can see that he is abreast with the things that's happening in that community. The people have gravitated towards him. So I don't know if there's gonna be a winner with this trade issue. I think for me right now it's more of a publicity stunt. While it is important to talk to each of them, I think it's just publicity. Like, and so the first person I guess to see the picture, or we see the first picture we see, will say, oh, it's like each of them, they're trying to see if they can get the edge on who they'll be able to speak to first. But I don't think that's where their focus needs to be on. I think it needs to go down. Like Prince Tolls. Prince Tolls right now is one of the people that everybody's talking about. Somebody who was able to win a Karis Gray. Go talk to him. I mean, yes, he's a Boyka supporter, so it probably won't do we are anything. But those are the kind of people you want, people who've won huge districts, making a difference. You want to go talk, you talk about the Prince Johnson factor. I think now, regardless of what everyone said, what we all say because of Prince Johnson, I think now is to bring Prince Johnson up front. He is up front and see what other people in other areas will do if Prince Johnson is talking now. So I don't know if they're gonna win or gain anything from the trade, except people will look at it as, well, Boyka was the first person that spoke to Cummings, or Weah was the first one that extended a hand to Cummings. Except for that, for me, it's a publicity thing. It's good to
But,
reach out, but I
but
don't think
Glendy,
it'll mean anything.
publicity won the first round, right? You know, it was all crowd politics. We
Yeah,
talk about Waka bringing people out in the rain. They talk about the weird people. So many people look at that and say, "Oh, I'm not going
true,
to waste my vote."
true.
So publicity in this case, whoever can be endorsed by Cummings, by Gonglo, don't you think that gave them a very good advantage, even if their voters would not follow them? Because people look at that and say, "Oh, okay, this is the place they're going, so let me go there," because that
It's
what happened in the first round.
and it's possible. And when you look at all of these people, for me, I think Lucini, Mr. Kamara, and Cummings will be people that you want to gravitate towards, because of course you want to be able to capture the hearts of the voters that Mr. Kamara has. And then also if you have Cummings come out right now with the fact that he with how the votes turn out for him, and comes out and say, I'm supporting Weah, or I'm supporting Boyka, that's going to be significant, because what it's going to portray is that he has put country first over everything he has encountered. So I think those two people for me will be people that have some ounce of probably gaining something. People will follow them, but I don't think anybody else really.
Thank you. Now, let me go to you, Mr. Salif. Trucking, right? Let's assume, and I don't have any fact to say either Musa Belete did truck people, or Thomas Fowler truck people to Lofa, or Alex Tyler truck people to bombing. But let's assume that that happened, right? You want to get these people on their side so they can also truck, because this is not legislative election again. So if they ever truck, those people are not going back. So you need them so that they can still truck their voters back there, so you can win them.
Right.
Should they be part of the trade talks?
Well, there should be, but trucking in and of itself is illegal. In terms of making people move from where they don't ordinarily live, making decisions, because essentially you just say you live in Morovia, you are from Basel, and you went to you were trucked to Bapulu, you influence the vote there. You're essentially helping to make decision for what impacts that county. That's why trucking is illegal. However, today the commission and Director Brown last Sana said, the trucking is out of our business. We can't enforce it. We can work with LNP, but we don't have a mandate to go after saying don't truck people, don't truck people. But if you left your community and register somewhere else, now you're back in Morovia, you're going to have to go back there to go vote there. So in terms of practicality, yes, that's why Mr. Mami said it right. That's the get out the vote thing I was talking about earlier. You're going to, the people you want to go after are these people who want, these representatives, these senators, these newcomers who are, popular, obviously, because the people voted for them. And if they won because they had trucked people, you want to understand their logistics. Like, see, let's work it out. How can we get their voters back there? So some of these talks, you wouldn't hear about it, you wouldn't know about it just because they're unethical. And you don't expect Baka and his people to be engaging in may truck the people back, that kind of thing, right? But yes, the voter apathy, that's why second round of elections you have lower turnout, because the people have no incentive now to facilitate their own travel to somewhere to Foya, or somewhere to Quadruboni if they live in Monrovia, and it's the same thing everywhere else around the country. So you really have to understand that logistic, like who truck whom where, and how can we get some of these people to transport themselves or arrange mass transportation to get people, because at the end of the day you really want to have people vote for you. And everybody is doing trucking. The CDC does trucking. The people on the Buckeye side, maybe down the ticket, who truck people. The other aspect I want to talk about is the disruptors. You want to look out for the disruptors because you don't want the votes you got to reduce. You want to be able to increase the vote and to influence your opponent's vote not to increase. That's really where you are. I mean, because those who are for you are for you. Those who are not for you, no matter what you do, they won't vote for you. You're looking for those in the middle. And because it's runoff, you have these other weird factors here. So people like Musa Ability, who has grievances against Ambassador Barker, it says, I know who I will not endorse, you know. So you really want to tactfully, diplomatically go after people like Mr. Ability and say, look, now it's about the country. We made mistakes, things happen. Let's reconcile if there's a possibility for that. Look for those kinds of individuals whom I would say are disgruntled for some reason, who will publicly disrupt and ensure that not only they themselves will not support you, but that they will disrupt things for you. You want to look out for the disruptors and then find factors that will increase your chances. So yes, trucking is a factor.
Comrade Joe Wilson, if trucking doesn't take place for FOIA, it benefits Mr. Buckeye, right? Because it looks like Thomas Fala may have trucked people there.
Of course, it is apparent that Thomas Fala could have trucked people to Lofa. Those are the strategies of the CDC, to violate the election laws, to take people here and there. Unfortunately, these things are not going to help them. But here's what's going to happen in Lofa. Whether Thomas Fala truck people there or not. In the second round, in this runoff elections, the sons and daughters of Lofa County will vote. They will come out. I'm not from Lofa, right? But there are some things at least I can relate to. For one person, I knew that Thomas Fala would have won. I knew that. It is very typical in the Lofa County elections that a Joseph Boakai running as president, a Thomas Fala running as a representative, people will likely vote for Thomas Fala, and they will also vote for Joseph Human Boakai. The focus of our attention here is that number of invalid votes that happen in Lofa County. That is the point of our focus. That is the reason why the Unity Party and its alliance will reach out and campaign and educate our people well enough to know how to vote, and we're seriously going to monitor the invalid vote. We want to make sure people vote right, and we're going to put a lot of attention on how people are voting and the counting of the ballot. So there are a couple of things that's going to be happening, along the lines. I can't say all of that on this platform, but the issue is not about tracking people here and there for us. We know for a fact that what happened in the first round, some of those slippages are not going to be repeated, and we're definitely going to beat George Weah. And the reasons are simple. The strategies are working. We are reaching out. Everyone is going out. We are reaching out to every doors, knocking every doors, getting everyone across the aisle to come and rescue this country, because we know what is at stake. I need now to emphasize the posture of the new ambassador to Liberia he is taking. This is a clear signal, and we got to use avenues that focus on Liberia to tell the people what is at stake. If you listen to the new ambassador, he even might be tougher than the one who left in July. What we are saying in essence is, let us all come together, vote for Joseph Human Boakai, and let George Weah and his cabal leave our presidency. We want to move our country forward. This is the axe we are reaching out to everyone. All opposition, this is the time to rally. This is the time to set aside our differences for the good of the country and vote for Joseph Human Boakai. Whether who truck people, who did not truck people, whatever it is, I am saying we are appealing to your conscience. See the reason to support Joseph Human Boakai. That is what we are conveying, and that is our message of hope, aspiration, and rescue of the country.
But Dennis, let me ask a question too quickly to Joe and everybody on the panel. There are several people that were vying for president, and many of them were campaigning against the Weah administration. They were condemning it in various numbers of ways.
Mm-hmm.
So now that they are out of the race, how will they be able to turn around and back the Weah administration that which they condemned previously? And if they don't back Buckeye, what does it reflect that Buckeye cannot get them to back him, whereas they were already opposed to the Weah administration? What does it show?
I think there's a beautiful question there, right? Because this is something similar I've been saying to a couple of oppositions. What you have disagreed with for 6 years, what can be more convincing that you will flip-flop to support the very thing you condemn 6 years? In few days' time, you flip-flop to go and endorse it. What I'm saying, opposition, it really doesn't make sense to see the opposition now going to endorse George Weah re-election bid. It is counterclockwise logically, because everything they were advocated against, that's exactly what you were saying. In the last 6 years, we lied to you. We don't take us serious, which doesn't make sense. Here's what Joseph Boakai is doing. We're reaching out.
Yeah.
We're reaching out to everyone. We're talking to everyone. If individuals chose not to endorse Joseph Yoma Boakai, it is not because Joseph Boakai did not reach out. It is not because the Unity Party and its alliance did not reach out. It is because most likely it might be personal interest. You know, patriotism can be expressed in so many ways. We cannot force people to be more patriotic than they should be. This process is a national call. This is why patriotism supersedes personal interest. And that is the reason we will put everything aside and support Joseph Yoma Boakai. Regardless of what we disagreed upon in the first round. That's what Boakai is doing.
Comrade Joe, but
Yes,
do you understand where this is coming from, right? Because this was exactly what the Liberian people have been calling for the past 5 years. Get together, and some people in the opposition say, leave me alone. People reminded them, say, you will need me one day. Do not waste dirty water on me. And they never listen. So we have come to the point, and now people are preaching this moral argument. Hey, we all one now. We all opposition. Well, you forgot yesterday what you did to me. Do you understand that's where the people are?
Yeah, I do understand. You're coming, Ambula. I do understand what that is. But those were the heat of the political discourse. Those were the time people expressed and defended their own sides. But one thing remained constant: the forward march of Liberia. That is one thing that is as constant as the Northern Star, as we will say.
That sounds like platitude to me.
Say that again?
I said that sounds like platitude.
No, it's not. Isn't that a reality? The forward march of Liberia, isn't that a reality? Even all the oppositions who disagree, everybody believed in the forward march of Liberia. Listen to me. People say things, okay? Those were the times, but there is not a time stamp on when should people unite. There's no time stamp on when political parties should come together for the good of the country. This is a time, this is a runoff, and that is the reason the Liberian people send a message to all of the candidates that from the opposition bloc, there's one person we think is in the best position to move this country forward, and that is Joseph Yoma Boakai. So
thank you. Let me bring in Ambula.
So
because you didn't pay for this ad.
Yeah, Jimmy asked a very interesting question, and I gotta respond to the question. You see, there are three options we have for 2023. 3 things on the ballot. Joseph Boakai is one option. George Weah is another option. And George Weah money is the third option.
Smart.
Some people believe Joseph Boakai can bring some level of civility to governance. So they want to support him. some people believe George Weah will just cause additional trouble. They don't want to support him, but they want his money. So they will go for his money. And they have already started providing reasons, even though some of those reasons are faulty. They come on Facebook, they test the reason and see reaction from the people and analyze it and getting prepared to come out and announce. One of the reasons they give, the election ended, it shows that more people want George Weah than the people that want Joseph Boakai. So therefore, Liberian people want George Weah to continue. That's one of their explanations they're having. But what is faulty in that explanation is the election was not between Joseph Boakai and George Weah. The election was between George Weah's request for a second term versus the Liberian people's denial of a second term. The result shows that more Liberians do not want George Weah to continue as president. That was the reason George Weah came to 2023 election. He came to ask for the renewal of his contract. He needed 50% plus one vote to renew that contract. And the people rejected. But because they are taking the third option, which is George Weah money, and they must find explanation, so they narrow the election between George Weah and Joseph Boakai and exclude all the important data points beyond the two candidates. And say, since George Weah won, I think I don't know how many, 8,000 or how many votes, it means Liberians want George Weah to continue and they don't want Joseph Boakai. That's one of their explanations for supporting George Weah money, not George Weah. Because these people who supporting George Weah money, they've been campaigning against George Weah for 6 years. They say he's not good for the country. So today, if you hear them saying he's good for the country, that his money they want, they don't want him. They don't believe in him. They only believe in his money. So they find those justifications and saying more people voted for George Weah than they voted for Joseph Boakai. But hey, brother, the election was not between Joseph Boakai and George Weah.
Thank you. Mr. Salif, everybody in the country wanted this united opposition, and people are blaming Mr. Boakai for destroying that. Cummings on the other side and his group cannot forgive him because when they saw that picture of Boakai and Sereno Sifa standing together and bringing up these charges of tampering with CPP document, I mean, sometimes you look back, you wonder, where did this all come from? Mm-hmm. So right now, you think about, hey, don't you see we are all in this together? For some people, it's not flying. Do you understand that?
I do. But now we're in the national, right? It's like here in the U.S. where these political parties are in their primary elections. All kinds of things happen. Once they've settled and they've chosen a candidate, they all coalesce around that candidate. It will be acrimony. This is politics. It's dirty. Just as there's no permanent enemy in politics, so too there are no permanent friends in politics. What happened to Mr. Cummings was very hurtful. I mean, just think about it. Look at the tenor on Facebook, the social media. I mean, the Maria Yakulas of the world. There are others who were like really at one another, more Ali and others. Now come back and see after this announcement that there will be a runoff. Some kind of reconciliations, people taking picture with people, although it doesn't, just meeting with people doesn't tell us anything necessarily, but the body language of the Boakai photos versus the Weah photo of Mr. Cummings, there were stark differences. Mr. Cummings was sitting there, he seemed very engaged, he was smiling, see that? Boakai was smiling and they were having a very good conversation. To me, that tells me something about this Cummings guy, right? I didn't support him necessarily. One of those who was real hard on his people. I thought they had some chips on their shoulders thingy. They weren't really serving Mr. Cummings well. All they had to say was, this man did it for Coca-Cola. He's the best for Liberia. Why don't you see? They wouldn't do the work to get us to see it. They would say you ought to see because it's the best thing that's happened to Liberia. Look at this other photograph versus President Weah. It's to me, these people are having a difficult conversation. They're very serious. Nobody's smiling there. In fact, the body language, Mr. Cummings, is removed from President Weir, right? And again, I'm not saying I know the contents of that conversation or what happened. I'm just saying the magnanimity is palpable when you see how when he met with Ambassador Boakai. So to me, that tells me, he puts the country above his personal hurts. As a leader, you go beyond your personal feelings, your hurt, because you are all competing for the same thing. They were sort of in a primary in a CPP context. Who will hear the ticket? They couldn't agree. There are some faulty process that fell apart. They all undermined it one way or another, split the Liberty Party, and then the CPP disintegrated, and they all went their separate way because nobody wanted to be vice running mate to the other. They each wanted to be on top of the ticket, and it couldn't happen on one ticket. So they had all these differences, and their surrogates didn't help the process either. Well, that's behind us now. If Mr. Cummings believed then that President Weir wasn't the best president for the country and that he has vision, Cummings has vision for the country, he ought to look at these two candidates and say, who between these two will likely advance my vision? And therefore, now I want to negotiate around how can this candidate likely incorporate some of my vision, some of what I wanted to do for Liberia. I think that's where the negotiation should be. It shouldn't be, oh, okay, what are you going to do for my people? Will you incorporate some of my people? Will you give them jobs and things like that? No, these are very narcissistic if that's the way you're going. And I don't see Cummings going that way from the rhetorics throughout this electoral cycle.
Thank you, Glendy, and I want you to weigh in on this one finally. Is those of us born in the countryside, we travel. So sometimes when you're traveling at night, passing through other villages, you don't even care where you get on, right? So they say, don't walk at night and forget that day will break. Because you can even be without share at night, but when the day break, you go past through the people's town. It appears to me that Mr. Boakai was walking at night and forgot that day will break. Now we are here. That's one. Two, if you look at Weir and having the way he's being portrayed, I mean, this man is bad, he's incompetent, he's corrupt, he's koosh. For Weir to come as the winner of the popular vote in the first round, it really doesn't pan out to how he was campaigned against. This is hopeful sign for Weir in the second round, don't you think?
I think that would be a fair question if we didn't have any rumors about fraud. It's how I would want to respond to it. Did he win? Did he win fairly? Did he win fairly? Did we not have 6% invalid votes? So I think that would be about, suffice it to say, I think yes, President Weir has had a lot of criticisms. And whatever the numbers are saying right now is room for him to rejoice about. That the fact that no matter what it is, based on the number, if we're seeing the numbers that we have now, if they're true and they're fair, then he should have an edge. Having that, and with all of the things that have happened, people still vote. I mean, but I don't think, Dennis, it's anything surprising to us. I think all of the political commentators or the journalists before leading up to the elections, I think everybody continued to talk about the Weir factor. And they continue to talk about that 37% of the people will still support George Weir no matter what. Because you cannot negate the fact that he was someone that the country loved because of his sportsmanship. So no one's going to take that away from him. I think Joe Boakai did well to be neck and neck with him, because equally so, with all of the criticisms that Joe Boakai, he's old, he had a stroke, he will soon die, he's a dead man walking, all of those things. So when you look at both sides, they all had people criticize them to the maximum. And for the two of them to be in this shoe now, it's like, let's see what round two is going to do. But we does have an upper edge with the 7,000 something numbers that he has.
Hey, Glendy, let me give you another school of thought about what you just said. it was, and when they had a by-election, it was accepted by many that the CDC was greatly unfavored, and whoever emerged as a leader of opposition would be a cinch to win. So all the goal was to come out the winner. Now, for the opposition. So all that mangling, the court case, the accusations, all of that was to come out victor of the opposition, because you knew running against the incumbent would have been an easy task, being he was already so unpopular. But what now? Do you not think there's other factors that is holding the VP back, like maybe the Prince Johnson element? Because right now, he's already running against an unfavored administration, as was portrayed in the by-election. So he should be really out there winning immensely. But
Which by-election are you talking about? Because
the one that brought Dylan
no, that was a long time. The latest is the one in Lofa.
Yes.
Which United Party lost.
There was many factors that went into that too.
Okay, no,
I mean, but equally so. I know Mr. Gayman is not here, but I think Mr. Eastman is like a gay man, where I think he's a propagandist, and he's almost like he's being intelligent. He's intelligently not trying to talk in CDC's favor, so he put the English there together in a way that we won't be able to pick it up.
Really?
I don't know who would ever think that George Weah is still not a popular president. That's where I want to start from. He is still and will continue to be a popular president. People still love George Weah. Even people that oppose him still love him.
Glenn, a popular person or president? Because
he's a president. He said George Weah is an unpopular president. Okay. That's what he said.
I think so, right? This is the man who spent 2 months watching soccer.
Yeah, and nothing happened to him.
The drugs, you took Kush, guns,
Moringa.
Right.
Nothing happened.
The 3 missing boys, the auditors, and all these things. Very unpopular, right?
Unpopular for the things that happened, but the Liberian people still galvanized towards him. They still love him.
But here's my final question before we bring in our callers, and that's Prince Johnson. From time to time, we know that he's being very unpredictable. People accuse him of being paid to play. I mean, he sells. Nimba follows him, right? And so he's been using that as a big bargaining chip. Is it possible for Prince Y. Johnson to be on the market in the runoff? Is it possible that he can turn to CDC and say, well, because he was there for the past 5 years, it was only at the yellow hour when he went Unity Party after the exchange of sermons, right? Is Prince Johnson on the market? Let me start with Mr. Salif. Or is it possible?
Well, I think,
and let me also add that whoever Prince Johnson supports in this second round election wins.
Yes, yes, possibly. And I think it was Mr. Mame who analyzed very brilliantly the Nimba situation. So I do not know anything about Prince Johnson ethics, if he has one, to say that he has supported Mr. Boakai openly, and not just supported Mr. Boakai, but vehemently spoke against President Weah and the CDC. So to turn around now, even if they offered him $1 million.
But he turned around. He used to call Boakai battery total.
Yeah, he's turned around before. Right. But and I'm saying in this cycle though, because of the cold factor, the vice running mate to Ambassador Boakai, it seems that that's the hook that is different than previous Prince Johnson act that we've seen. Right? I think he's very vested in Nimba's success through Nimba's son, who will be potentially vice president, and therefore will do everything in his power to have that ticket elected. Now, again, with Prince Johnson, somebody who is sanctioned under a U.S. government Magnitsky, not in Treasury Department sanction, I believe, for this very pay-to-play, king-making, trading votes, and promising people political powers for money. We can't forget that. So in that case, there's the potential that it could flip and be influenced by a significant amount of money. That's a possibility. So it's for me, I don't know. I don't have an easy answer for you to say that because of Jeremiah Cohn, Prince Johnson cannot flip at all because we know he has a history of going after money. But I'll cast my bet on the side of him remaining with Ambassador Walker because of Jeremiah Cohn. And therefore, the NIMA vote will follow. Because of the reason Mr. Mami said, there'll be no gonglo in this race in the second round. That's where the Prince Johnson influence is.
Mr. Mami, at this point now, if there's any money in place that's going to raise the price tag that Prince Johnson is going to possibly charge, can he flip? Because this will be big money.
Then you're thinking over the election too much. So still be thinking that at this point in time, Prince Johnson will still be on the market. I mean, you really overthinking the election, but
that's what I do.
Like we can say in politics, people can say in politics, nothing is impossible, but I doubt Prince Johnson sees anything more than, saving the country from what it's going through. Look, the sentiments or the feelings from Prince Johnson and the other people, forget about what happened in the past. His record, see what Joe is doing to the country. This man is practically breaking down all the institutions and empowering individuals, hoping that he can use those individuals as power breakers across the country. The county development structure that was set up where county development funds were used to carry on development projects in the county collapsed. So in Lofa County, instead of the county development fund being used to build police station, to build roads, to put lights, to build town hall, Thomas Fowler is empowered by government resources to build the roads in Lofa, to build a town hall, to build a police station, to provide the street lights. The same thing in Magidi County. The county structure not receiving that county development fund, but Maggie doing all the projects. The same thing in Bapolu County, Maggie brother who just won as representative. City mayor, there is no budget line for city mayor in Bapolu, but all the development projects in Bapolu, he doing it. He has a city that he's running, Bapolu City, but there is no budget for Bapolu City. But all the projects in Bapolu, the street lights, the roads, the buildings, he's providing them. So in Nema County, George Weah sees the people county and social development fund. He cannot provide it to them. But empowering individuals.
Yeah, but Mame, let's be honest. These are not things that Prince Johnson cares about. Prince Johnson cares about things going to Nimba. Period.
Oh no, so Prince Johnson's situation is a piece of the puzzle. So Prince Johnson been arguing consistently in Nimba that George Weah the government owes Nimba County, I think $60 million and cannot give it. That the reason for which he's not supporting Weah. I'm saying that situation in Nimba is not unique to Nimba. It's happening to all the other counties. So Prince Johnson is seeing that it's happening to his county. That's the reason why he doesn't want to support Weah. So I don't see him on the market. But
thank you.
Let me conclude in 1 minute. I want to clarify something on the CPP code issue. Even coming stop Bwaka to court, we shouldn't forget that. Coming stop Bwaka to court and ask the Supreme Court to stop Bwaka from contesting the election on Unity Party's ticket. So Bwaka talk Cummins to court, Cummins to Bwaka to court. If we want to be fair with each other. The second thing is this thing about, oh, somebody was insulting me, now you come back now to come ask me.
No. But Mame, that was not taking Bwaka to court. Let's be. I know there may be some nuances there, but stopping the vote is different from how Cummins was implicated as being the one who tampered with the document. He was being sued.
I agree, 100%. Kumi's action was to stop Boubacar from contesting on United Party's ticket, the party that he depends on to contest and win the election. Boubacar did not take Kumi to court. Somebody took Kumi to court, and Boubacar was opinion to go and testify.
And Boubacar say he know the man.
So the last thing I wanted to talk very briefly is this thing about, oh, you were doing the campaign, you were talking to me, so now you're coming to beg me. Look, I supported Councillor Gonglo because I believe he's the best person to solve our problem. He's not in the race. My decision on the future of my country will not be based on what somebody said to Councillor Gonglo during the campaign. That's too petite.
Thank you.
The decision on what happens to the future of my country in the next 6 years should not be based on whether somebody says something to Gonglo or says something to me during the campaign.
Thank you.
If you believe that George
Dennis.
Hold on, Jimmy. We want to bring on the colors. So there's a yes or no question now. Glendy, will Prince Johnson flip? Yes or no?
No, never.
Comrade Joe. No. Jimmy? Is he
not gonna
flippable?
Yeah, but Dennis, just let me incite this. The people have already designed two plans that have worked. You have surplus invalid votes. You have a ghost candidate. Those two techniques have already been exercised and have worked. Do you still not think that there's a strategy to win this election in the end?
Jimmy, you say I was being incendiary on my page when I alluded to something. Now you are even more dangerous. I mean, you let the cat out of the bag. You might as well just discuss it.
And I don't know where you see Ghost Kennedy, and you are saying the invalid vote is by design. Those are, I don't think those are rooted in fact. So
okay.
Yeah, we don't want to speculate. Let me bring on the callers now. And if you want to join the conversation, please call the number on the screen. There is also being pinned. That is 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. So as our callers are getting ready to call in, let's go to quick commercial. We want to pay the bills here.
My people, yo, come on, we got G's for y'all. And you remember that hit series back in the 80s, Mala Wala Bala Wala? Well, get ready. Mala Wala Bala Wala Reloaded is in the works, and all Liberians, both local and abroad, are coming together to make it happen and make it happen bigger than ever. We even played a more big fundraiser with popular comedians like GGG and Kekura Kamara, the original Mala Wala Bala Wala.
The giant Choma China is in the house, and I'm going to be part of this amazing project. We want to invite you guys to join the discussion and the fundraiser on Facebook. Focus on Liberia on October 29th. And now, let the legend himself tell you.
Dami Kekura Kamara, the original Malawala Balawala man. Yes, Malawala Balawala Reloaded will not be easy, oh my people. It will bring together new Liberian talent, comedians, actors, actresses. Your please join us for our fundraiser on Sunday, October 29 at 1 p.m. Eastern Time or 5 p.m. Liberian Standard Time. This will be on Facebook on a program Focus on Liberia with Dennis Jar.
All right, that's don't forget to tune in. Let me bring in our callers here. The first caller is Elijah Washington. Elijah, you're live. 1 minute, please.
Dennis, thank you for having me. It's always amazing to listen to your program. I think the panel is fantastic tonight. A couple of things I like to highlight here today. The first thing is that it's about the political conversation between the different political parties and individuals. The first thing is that before you start this conversation, you have to be very, very strategic. It doesn't have to be necessarily a political party candidate or a representative. You can use both. But before you do that, be strategic. Now, what do I mean to be strategic? For example, if a unity party goes to Cummings and say we need your support, the possibility of the Grable, the Queen, the Crown, the people from the Southeast going to support Barker just because Cummings said go and support Barker, I don't see that possibility, because they won't see Cummings as a betrayer because they want to support their son. So if he comes to them and say, "Hey, I'm supporting Barker, come and join me," he might come and say, but the vote that he might get may not be what we are going there to tell them. So that's a big thing.
Right. Elijah, let me stop you. Who do you refer to as the son of the Southeast, Cummings or Weah?
We are the son of the Southeast, and Cummings is the son of the Southeast.
Okay.
I'm saying if Barker goes to Cummings and says, "Join me, because I think you can be able to pull votes for me," he might get Cummings on his side, but he might not get the people from the Southeast on his side.
Okay, go ahead. You were sounding like VP Jewel Howard Taylor, but go ahead.
No. I just saying people have to be strategic when they go about this conversation. No, I'm just saying people have to be strategic as they go about this conversation. Okay, for instance.
Yeah, just go ahead to your next point.
CBC goes to Amara Kone and say, "Hey, because you won in Bapolu, we want you to support us." You think that and what is the name agree that okay, I'm going to support CBC now. You think the people from Bapolu say because just Amara Kone agrees that he wants to support CBC, they're going to follow him? No, that's the point I'm saying.
Thank you.
Once you're going to go about this conversation, you have to be very, very strategic. Now, my second point, what is the name? Joe talked about why would the political parties, the opposition party, not support Joseph Barker now if all along they've been against George Weah. It doesn't work that way. The fact that they were against George Weah does not mean the fact that Barker is now going to be the one, so they should just follow him. They didn't like the lady with one eye. Now the one who has no eye, like, we don't want to follow you. So we prefer to go to the one who has one eye. So it doesn't work that way. The fact that they were all opposition party means that we just follow him.
Thank you.
For Ahmed's point about the pictures are deceptive. So the fact that you just saw those pictures on Facebook, or whoever took the picture of taking this picture at such a time. So don't bother whole thing about the picture. It doesn't speak anything about body language in that picture. It's just a picture you see. And the last thing is, Prince Johnson has zero credibility. He has zero credibility when it comes to somebody who can stay on it. So say, "Oh, so I believe," I'm not saying he's going to flip, but the possibility of flipping is possible.
Thank you.
So he can flip.
Yeah. Thank you. The possibility is possible. Mr. Kalabo Gonglo, you're live. Go ahead, sir. 1 minute.
Why you want to restrict me to 1 minute when the caller is before?
Oh, Lord.
I have the right
to. Lord. Just answer the question.
My name is Kalabo Gonglo. I just wanted to make a quick comment. There are several issues you guys have raised tonight. I want to make a comment on that. Some of the analysis Joe Wilson has made, I totally disagree with it. But I'm going to leave that for another time. But I just want to quickly make comment on Ambalai comment about the fact that his interpretation of the election results. Here is what I would say as a statistician, because we do experimental analysis. If you look at all of the presidential candidates, we can consider them as factors of analysis in the experiment. So the voters are reacting to these factors. So because you put all of them in the crucibles, and there's different reaction to it. So you have so we have something called analysis of the variance. So if you put all of these factors in the experiment, you will get different outcome. So 20 candidates were in the experiment. We came off a result that put we are ahead. Now you want to test it. It's okay. Let's remove this. We are remove what? That's a byword analysis right there. We remove 17 candidates out. 18 candidates out there. We are left with only 2. Voters will react differently. They will not have the same reaction. It doesn't work like that. Because in the second round, there is nobody selling platform anymore. What people are selling now is they're selling immediate interest. That's what people are looking at in the second round. Okay? So, and there are different ways people are looking at how they make decisions in the second round. It's not going to be about what Nami is talking about. There are local issues that will even play in how people make decisions. So you may look in Lofa and say, maybe the Loma people may say, oh, Steve Zago has lost the election. We don't think Baga played a pivotal role here. Now we have different person, so we may have to go somewhere else. You may look in another country, there will be different local issues. They will look at the result of the election in a particular local area, and it will factor into how they approach the second round. So we have to take all of these. These are complex issues, not just a one-size-fits-all approach to this. Okay.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
So I will leave it at that, but I will also add that to say to take all of the opposition vote together and say those who vote against what we are, I think that would be a little bit an extension of what actually happened. Okay, and I will end with this and fact statement information to you. There is a particular person who left from the United States and went to Liberia to campaign for Councillor Gongo. The person got in Liberia and went to his people in Bon Country and said, look, this is my people. I want you guys to follow me as your leader from this district. So there were 8 persons in our meeting, 8 co-leaders from different communities, because he contested in Bon Country before. And all 8 of them said, you know what, you're coming late, but let us not all put our egg in the same basket. So we want you to remain with Councillor Gongo, and we will deal with Baka. And he said, no, I'm your leader. Let's go to Councillor Gongo. If we don't win, we'll come to Unity Party. He said, no. Now, after the result, they've gone to him and said, one can lay down on your feet. And he called me yesterday. He said, I told him, I said, oh, when I came here first, I said, we can put our eggs in one basket. So we should spread the egg. I'm ready to spread my own egg now. What's happening to you? He said, oh, no. He said, no. If I follow you, it means you are my leader now, and I'm following you. I want you guys to follow me so we can follow you later if we don't make it. So those are the kind of discussions that are taking place. One may say, oh, let's look at national. What is national is narrowly defined, and there is not a clear criteria for that because there is no guarantee on how Baka will. The question of how Baka will govern is a counterfactual argument. Baka has never been president. He has never delivered anything. It's a counterfactual argument. So nobody can say Baka will be a good president because Baka got all the horribles, deplorables in his basket.
Thank you.
Declare who you want to support and start all the things talking.
The campaign is over.
I know, right?
Somebody said 2 people with bald head fighting for Kum. Let's get Dr. Clarence Pearson.
Thank you, Dennis. John. Thank you for having me. And just want to use this time to just thank all of your panelists on the show tonight. You all are doing great. Thanks for the diverse discussion tonight. If you permit me, Dennis, I just got quick 2 points to just put forward. It's not a question per se, but I want to make this clarity. Right? When we hear people talk about Joseph Boakai as being the opposition in these elections, as though he is the sole opposition in these elections that everyone should rally around him, I mean, that is not factual. When you go back and see the entire opposition agenda from the onset, with the momentum that started off with the COP coming up to CPP and all of the different frameworks that they try to put together, for which they almost ended Alexander Cummings' political career if he didn't have the resources. Boycott is not the legitimate representation of the opposition political bloc. And I say this to say, in fact, that Boyka has all along never played a team game. He played an individual card. He played an individual card within his own party, going as a black vote representation from the entire party without giving anybody the chance to contest him. He did the same thing for the CPP and saw the CPP get integrated under his watch. We saw his supporters come up and say derogatory things about Alexander coming, even after they have stabbed in the back, and the law came up and said that they didn't have anything legitimate on him, and they never even had the opportunity to go back to the young man and reconcile. And that is not just Alexander Benedict Cummings. That goes for Ure as well. Boyka and Ure fell out. Boyka and Henry Costa fell out. But Boyka and all of those that tried to ride around fell out. Boyka is in a marriage with someone who never stood with them in the opposition black. So Boyka is not a legitimate representation of the opposition. Now, when I say that, then I say quickly that, listen, I can see Boyka coming back to try to reconcile with his colleague and see how they can support him to go for the second round. But I think that is going to be very difficult. It's going to be difficult because it is not just about Alexander Benedict Cummings saying, "Oh, I forgive you." It is about the supporters behind Alexander Cummings. It's the supporters behind Ure. It is the supporters behind Henry Pedro Costa. These are people who feel they have been deeply disappointed by the opposition black because the entire agenda of the opposition was thwarted, completely destroyed by Joseph Boyka. Okay, the second thing I want to say before I leave you, let me say here. Prince Johnson is not going to flip side for the second round. And the reason for that is that Prince Johnson is he's the closest he can ever come to the presidency right now. Prince Johnson has said it in a public statement that if Jeremiah Kuhn wins along with Joe Boyka, they will run the country. Because Kuhn will run the country. Kuhn is on record also publicly in Liberia for saying that Joe Boyka at this age, at this time, is unfit to run the country. So it is glaring that they feel it is their chance to the presidency. It's not in high. So Prince Johnson will not give this up. And just one second, sir. My man, when you guys want to talk about issues pertaining to the government, it is bad to have this generic condemnation of everything happening in the country. You talk about particularly talk about the County Development Fund. The County Development Fund broke down under Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf regime. The County Development Fund was first being handled by superintendents across the county. The money went directly to the county. That broke down. The legislature ended up taking over that thing. And Prince Johnson was in the Senate when that entire process was broken down. And the Senate and the lawmakers started to handle the County Development Fund. And you are on. We are on record. Go back and look at your history. That the senators were fighting with their own counties on those development funds. To the point where Prince Johnson and his own county officials went a local hair for that county development fund. It's not about the presidency.
Thank you, Clarence.
So let us be honest about it. So thank you again, Dennis, for having me.
Thank you.
All of you on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Flomo Livingston.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. Great show today. To the point, for me, I'm going to speak to the point. It's not campaign time. I know some CPP guys and some Congolese guys are saying to that feeding. So campaign's over. In the United States, we see the current president, Joe Biden, and his vice president doing the Democrat primary. You see how she went against Joe Biden. But at the end of the day, Joe Biden picked her to be his vice president. And everything was settled. But I don't know in Liberia, CPP guys are still complaining about the past. This for me, as the opposition, you can't trust George Weah. Go ask the previous collaboration, the MPP and the LDP. Go ask them how George Weah treated them. So how will you trust men like George Weah to say, "Oh, I'm the change guy"? No, he's not a change man. So this election is between George Weah and CDC. And people say George Weah won the first election. That is not true. If you compare everything in the opposition and with George Weah lost. With the popularity in 2017, George Weah beat Joseph Boyka in most around about 120,000 votes. But 2023, Joseph Boyka beat him. So how will you say George Weah won? In other countries that might give George Weah won in 2017.
Maybe they're looking at Sir Joseph.
No, but Star Joseph even got more voting most of than George Weah.
Yeah.
So how will you say he's famous? All that to me, George Weah has lost his popularity. If he can go toe to toe with Joseph Parker, who did have the finance to run the campaign, will George Weah have almost like $50 million to run campaign, and he stayed tied with Joseph Parker?
But Flobo, the same, you can make the same argument for Lofa, where Joseph Boakai, Lofa was like hands down, but now that's not the case. Weah is competing with him there. But go ahead and your thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Definitely I agree with you. The amount of vote George Weah get this time around, definitely yes. Even I give credit to how they run that campaign, but this time around will be different. I can tell you that.
Thank
the
you.
other thing, what I'm trying to say is, if the opposition, let me say the sitting government, think they can win the election while they're going around buying voting cards and other things from people, why are you doing that? If you know you're ready, you stay famous, you know you can beat Joseph Parker, but it's not a case. So for me, the opposition who think George Weah is a man to trust, let them go ask the previous guys and have collaboration with them, like the LGPD and the MPP, how he treated those guys. What makes you think he has changed? Is when he become president, he knows he's not coming back. The man is not a man who can keep his word. George Weah always use people. Like why you see all the guys there, why you see all the guys in Joseph Parker, like Tyler, the guy that just won the Senate seat in Bowman County.
Yeah.
He was part of CDC, but he left because he said George Weah don't keep promises.
Thank
chairman of CDC said it in his recording. So how will you, as an opposition, he sits here criticize George Weah of this bad thing? He's not a good guy. When it comes to Gongolo, he said he's stripping corruption. George Weah is corrupt, and then all of a sudden he can't support him. So how will the public? Believe you? I won't trust you anymore if you do that, because you can't say the person is a bad person and you turn around and support the person. Then I will start to question your integrity. So election. Yeah, let me just say the election on the 14th again. You see, when it comes to the Constitution, we let to do selective justice. Then the election commission said they have 15 days by the Constitution, and the same Constitution, Article 83B says the second Tuesday after the election there should be the runoff. But now the election commission carried to the 14th. Why are they doing that? When it comes to the Constitution, people like to do selective justice. You have to go with the 7th. It should have been November 7th. That's the Constitution, that's what it says. But thank you, Dennis John, for the show. Thank you, Mommy. Thank you, Mommy. Well, Mommy, thank you very much.
Thank you. Aliyu Kamara.
Dennis, you gotta be like me. Take a side openly and stand with it. Don't only be a Robin White when it comes to Joseph Parker. Look, when you go into a document and insert a clause that removes or that potentially could remove the Unity Party from running in the election, and Joseph Parker is the arrowhead of the Unity Party, who are you trying to remove from the election? Are you trying to move Aliyu Kamara from the election? It is Joseph Parker. And you insinuated that Joseph Parker took Alice Cummings to court and did this and did that. There's no record of Joseph Parker taking Alice Cummings to court. So let's take a side and stay with that side. And
Aliyu, you know how bamboo can use monkey hand to get a roasted palm from the fire? Maybe that's what Parker was doing, but go ahead.
Okay, now you know parable. Okay, but anyway, let me get to my thing here.
Yeah,
look,
just leave me alone because you ain't with me.
Okay, I want Mama to understand that the scenario among Madingo people in Lima County is not the same as the Madingo people in Lofa County. The only time that Madingo in Lofa County actually begin to realize that whatever happened to the Madingo in Lima concerns them is 1990, when they sat reluctantly in Lofa County and thought it wasn't about them. They had nothing to do with it. They're two different dialects. Until they got killed, almost 500 of them, before they say, okay, well, whatever happens to one Madingo happens to all Madingo. And I must admit to you that George Weah has a lot of empathy among the Madingos in Lofa.
and there should be a lot of work done there. They should go ahead and do some work there. Because the Madinga and Lofa are tied to both the Lomas and the Gandhi. So they're very influential there. They shouldn't take it lightly. Look, listen, when you talk about representatives, those who want their representatives seats and people should go after that, I don't find that to be necessary at all. Let's take District 7 in Nimba County. Musa Bede won District 7, but Joseph Boga won District 7 as well. So what Musa Bede would do for Joseph Boga in District 7 when the voters in District 7 have said that they support Joseph Yuma Boga, and there's very large number of them are Madingo people. Okay? So, but I want to say this to Kelepu and the ANCers. I have learned over the years the ANC people lack common sense. And I can't understand how they don't think appropriately. When you're thinking must be contingent upon the culture and the environment in which you're thinking about. You have to fit in. When you're just thinking based on your external experience, and it confuses the people, and this is why they're not getting anywhere. All right? Let me say this to Kelepu and those who support the ANC and Mr. Cummings. Listen, we are open to working with the political leaders of the ANC and Mr. Cummings. This is my opinion. I do not speak for the rescue team. But what I'm telling you is we are open to working with those leaders. However, if they believe that they got some kind of chip on their shoulder and they must sit on some high horses, that people must capitulate to them because they have 29,000 votes, or somebody got 15,000 votes, or 30,000 votes, and therefore we must reduce ourselves to drop our principles and values and just submit to them because somebody called on the street, got PhD. Oh man, they got a whole other thing coming. Listen, with Gwanglu as a person or without Gwanglu, the United Party will still move on. The unique thing to do is to meet them, to hold conversations with them, and to be respectful to them based on the conditions that the voters have set. The voters have requested that Joseph Boga meet these people. But if they remain adamant that, oh, they got this, they got that, we will leave them and we will take the voters. The people of Nimba County voted for Gwanglu on the manner. The people of Nimba County voted for Gwanglu on the manner of solidarity. If he's not in the race, those people go to Prince Johnson, period. We're not going to beg him. We're not here to party train anybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And watch your word. You're not party train anybody here. The same thing I was talking, you know, you don't walk at night and forget that day will break. Thomas Cannon, go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Dennis. I just wanted to appeal that now that Councillor Gongolo is not in the race. Anytime Mr. Kelebu Gongolo calls, just give him 1 minute. Because he campaigned the whole while and he couldn't really get the votes. But I just wanted to speak on his use of statistics to be able to counter what Mami was saying. The elections this year was a binary choice. Either the people wanted to keep Weir or they wanted to replace him with one of the other 19 persons. So anyone that voted for Councillor Gongolo, that voted for GMB, that voted for Appleton, thought that each of these people could do better than George Weah. It is acceptable to say that they could change based on what the factors will be between now and November 14. But anyone that voted in that first round voted for the opposition intended to replace George Weah. So if it is a referendum on George Weah, then of course everybody that voted against him were against George Weah. So let him not use any kind of statistical terms with all of the sophistication. I would have thought that he would have projected where Councillor Gongolo was going to aim and perhaps advise him not to take all of these bad roads to go to the southeast. Since he did not do that, let him not use any of these statistical terms to be able to change the point that Mami was making.
Seriously, can I? Thomas,
yeah.
Seriously?
Let him not again come. Yes. Let him not again come back and say, okay, Joseph Boakai has never been president, and therefore that is a counterfactual. This is something that he did repeatedly, and he actually undermined his own brother with all of these arguments. So if Joseph Boakai has now become a president, and therefore that is a counterfactual. So you wanted the Liberians to elect Councillor Gongolo, who did not even come close to ever becoming a president. Was that not also a counterfactual? That is a counterfactual. So in the absence of somebody becoming president, the counterfactual that you can use is the other leadership abilities that they are self in. So if somebody has served as a vice president, you then use it to be able to assess what they will do when they become president. Even the president now did not become president before he became president. So I think some of these arguments at this level is good for us to be able to challenge them. If you want to take a position, you take it. Don't use your technical skills to be able to thwart the points that people are making. But I just wanted to talk on this issue of the negotiations.
You got 30 seconds.
Yeah, give me some time, Mr. Gongo took a lot
Yeah,
of time.
you wasted too much time on that one. So 30 seconds, go ahead.
Yeah. So the point I want to make is that Mami highlighted that, okay, it's a division between GMB, George Weah, and his money, which is three dimensions. I think there's a fourth dimension there which has to do with the future of these political actors. Because the action they take in these elections, like other people have said, is either going to undermine trust and confidence in them, which will harm them in the future. So I think it's really a critical decision that they will have to reflect on before they decide on who they're actually going to support in this second round. So I think it's difficult, and it's good that all of them are going through the negotiation, because people will have very deep thoughts in terms of any decision that they take, in terms of aligning themselves with any of these political parties. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the colors we have. At this time, we're going to close, so I want you to combine your response to our caller and your closing comments. And let's start with Mr. Anthony Gay, who just joined us at the tail end.
Sorry, I'm in a different state, and I completely confused the Eastern time zone with my time zone. So when it was 8 something, I started sharing the show, not knowing the show I've gone so far. But I like what I saw today. Both top tier candidates, reach out. The president and the former vice president reach out to Mr. Cummings. The question in my mind that I've asked when I saw that the images today was, first and foremost, what does Unity Party have to offer Mr. Cummings, apart from Liberia being the common denominator? That was the first thing that came to my mind. What does he have to offer Mr. Cummings? What is the Unity Party offering Mr. Cummings? Second thing that came to my mind is, you, President, we are going to Mr. Cummings. What are you offering Mr. Cummings? Are you ready for your administration to take individual, like, for example, Mr. Gonglo, Mr. Cummings, and Maniba to held key positions in your government, like Gonglo taking the Ministry of Justice and Cummings taking the Ministry of Finance, or maybe for what's the name, or maybe Central Bank, and Maniba taking at least Foreign Ministry or some kind of cardinal positions in the government. What are you offering? I don't know. I was not there. These are all speculative thought of mine. But whichever way Cummings go, I support him. He's a man of character. He's a man of his own mind, and I hope he will make the rightful decision that will benefit our nation. I never thought that we would have had a replay of 2017, like these two individuals back again into the runoff. In my opinion, I think the Liberian people didn't do justice to the circumstances, but again, who am I to suggest to the people that's the way they wanted to vote? I thought when I saw the letter from Mr. Cummings today to NAG, I will move by that letter, because I personally don't believe that that's the number that Cummings got. But again, it will only be a speculation on my part until we have a forensic investigation to validate these votes. So I just want to leave it there. That's my thought for tonight.
Thank you. Glendy, let me get your closing.
Well, it was a good show. Good to be on. The conversation continues. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We're looking forward to November 14th. We'll see who pictures will be up tomorrow. I'm sure they'll visit more people tomorrow. So thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. Comrade Joe. You're muted, Joe.
Kind of multitask, yeah. But I think it was a good show. Listening to everyone, I don't have to respond to individuals, but what I can say, we are at a very crucial point right now in the forward march of our country. And this may sound like a cliche, but there is nothing more beautiful to say that the country needs to be rescued right now. And all of the political actors from the ANC, LPP, and other political parties, even those monitoring the show, you agree with us. A lot of you agree with us that George Weah needs to go. The Liberian people have expressed the optimal decision they believe in. That is Joseph Human Boyka as an opposition. Whatever happens during the elections, well, that's something we can discuss for another time. But at this stage, we have one opposition candidate that is facing off George Weah. It is in the best interest of the opposition community to rally around Joseph Human Boyka to set the country on the trajectory that we all aspire, it to be. Now, to close on this, you see, certain thing happened in Ghana, and I said to many people a couple of months ago at the beginning of this election, when the opposition community, the late Professor John Atta Mills, if some of you can recall, that elections that brought Professor Mills, it was a crucial time when the Ghanaians needed a path and a transition to the forward march of the country. Professor John Atta Mills was old. The same thing people were saying about Joseph Human Boyka, but he was the most viable alternative to defeat the establishment at the time. Guess what? The opposition community rallied around Professor Mills. The students, university students, went out and campaigned for Professor Mills. At the end of the day, they won the elections. Today, you see how much transition Ghana has made and so forth. This is something similar that is happening in Liberia. So I want to conclude by calling all of our friends. Anthony, you need to start pushing a forward march for JMB. I don't know what you're thinking. But everyone else, if you believe in the opposition community, if you believe that George Weah is incompetent, he doesn't mean well for the country, you have one last chance to put your dreams into reality. Support Joseph Human Boyka. Afterwards, we will fix the country. In order to deliver, in order to explore, in order to make progress, we have to win the election first. Then we can lead. All other things are not possible if we have George Weah retained. I don't think that's what we want. Thank you, Dennis. It has been a wonderful evening tonight.
Thank you. Mame?
The good reason why it is one good reason to defeat George Weah or to reject George Weah is set a precedent, a new precedent. It clears away the wrong narrative that when you are elected, you are entitled to 2 terms. Once we defeat George Weah, it set the precedent now that leaders who are coming will know that when you are elected and you promise people and you don't deliver, you will leave. It is that precedent we want to set. There's this narrative in people's mind that once you're elected, you get 2 terms. Whether you do good or you do bad, you get 2 terms. We want to use Weah as an example that every leader coming will know that when you promise people and you don't deliver on your promises, they will reject you. And Weah will be that precedent and that example. It is cowardice for people to see 2 candidates in the race and you cannot choose one. I mean, if for any specific reason, yes, that's fine. But you don't want to choose Boyka, you don't want to choose Kumis, Weah, but you keep blaming Boyka. Choose your side and defend it. If you believe all that George Weah promised he delivered them, or even if he did not deliver them, but if you believe he can perform better for the next 6 years, maybe you claim that he will learn from his mistake. and perform better for the next 6 years, stay here and justify it and say this is the reason why you're supporting me. But you can't be telling us you don't want to support Bwaka because Bwaka people were insulting Kumis. What's that?
Maybe they are silent voters.
Why would you make a decision for the future of your country because somebody said negative thing about a political leader? Who does that? It's wrong. If you believe we will do better for the next 6 years, say it and defend it. I don't believe so. That's the reason why I'm not supporting him. Also, I want to say something about this county development fund. Look, that county development funds are in budgets. Go check Liberia budget since 2017, 2018 to today, and tell me which county receiving a county development fund. All the counties are crying. Their social development fund, they're not receiving it. Their county development fund, they're not receiving it. Yes, Ellie initiated it. The process was not perfect. There were challenges, corruption, but it did not stop. The process continued. Lawmakers were getting involved, setting up committees to go and participate in the utilization of the county development fund. There was corruption around it, but we are keen to change that system. He came to make it good. But instead of making it good, he stopped giving the people that county development fund and using resources through individuals to carry on development in those places. Those presidential candidates who believe that when we are winning, then it makes it shorter for them to get elected because 2029 they will come. I wish them well. They will meet a political system that will be hostile to some of the ideas they want to introduce. People will be demanding tangibles. You're hearing the word now, tangibles. From them. Political actors in those counties across the country, they may have tested the model at work. Thomas Fala work, Magé work, Betuare work, Ingbapolu, Magé brother work. Joe we will influence and empower more individuals across the county. Those are the people who will be doing the development. And when you come with your campaign message about building institutions, nobody will listen to you. So the best thing to do is to get him out and have somebody in place that we all can have a civilized discussion about the future of our country. And we can defeat them if they don't perform.
Thank you, Mami. Let me go to Mr. Salif.
Thank you, Dennis. I will reiterate here that it's been a good discussion. I want to go to some of the challenges with the Election Commission and some of what we saw with the invalid vote, the high number of invalid votes. And I think that Mr. Eastman alluded to, though we don't have facts, so we don't discuss that here. But look, I want to believe that the high turnout we saw was a referendum on this administration, on this president. The Liberian people came up in any election anywhere in the world. That kind of high turnout unprecedented is not good for the incumbent. There's something there. So those of you who work directly with Mr. Bwakai and on the opposition side, you really, really want to go back and work harder and make sure the mistakes that happen, those loopholes are closed. Did you have your eyes everywhere? That thing that happened with tally sheets here with Darius Dillon, the blue bag, and we have tally sheets, and then you couldn't really demonstrate that you were technically your war room could tally 50-50 and show neck look, we're on top of it. This is inconsistent. This is what we're seeing. That's problematic for me because if you consider yourself an incoming government, and if you say the incumbent is incompetent, you ought to exude competence already. You ought to demonstrate competence already. And the way you demonstrate competence is through these tactical situations. And we don't see that. We see social media posts and fights and things like that. That doesn't impress me. There's a lot of work to do. The people step out. The people went out and voted. If you are not able to protect that vote, the whole exercise is a fiasco. It doesn't serve Liberia well. I mean, and so look, elections are not perfect anyway. Yeah, we want our elections to be peaceful. We want this runoff to be peaceful. People go and vote. Their votes are counted for whom they said they wanted to vote. The president wins, we inaugurate, we move on, we contribute to the progress of the country. Whoever wins, wins. We're all Liberians here. But if you want to be a government, you ought to show me that you're ready to be a government. You cannot be criticizing and saying one person is incompetent when an opportunity presents itself for you to demonstrate that you are more competent, and I don't see that. That's problematic. So you have an opportunity to fix that in the next 2 weeks, and that's what I'm looking forward to. If it doesn't happen, it's water under a bridge.
Jimmy, you're closing. Thank you, Mr. Salif.
It's been a great discussion, gentlemen. I really appreciated being with you, intelligent gentlemen here. This whole voting sequence has proved that Liberians know what they want. They know it showed a diversity of ideas and thoughts. We had several different candidates. But more importantly, it showed that we are peaceful people and we should not be led astray and lose our peace. Once we lose our peace, we lose our freedom. You see, peace provides freedom. So we should keep that in mind. The choice that is available to us is whether we want change or transformation. That is a existential question that I don't think Liberians really ask. Change is merely changing a person, and most of the systems stay the same. Everything else stays the same. But a transformation is when an opportunity for a boy born in West Point or a girl born in the interior to be able to get an education and get a livelihood. That's the transformation most Liberians want to see. And that will require them buying into something more than just an election. Is a belief in Liberia as a nation that can provide them the future they want. And each one of us have to contribute to that future. So we are at the precipice of a new era, whichever way it goes. We need to keep in mind what we want. We need a transformation in Liberia, not simply a change. And that's my closing.
Thank you very much to all of you, and want to thank our viewers also for watching. I want to remind you, tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. we're going to have the Liberia History Channel. It's every Wednesday. We've moved from Saturdays every Wednesday now at 7 p.m. So please join us. Again, gentlemen, and Glendy left already. Thank you very much for your time. Keep watching Focus on Liberia Tonight. Topics on the political trade talks. And meanwhile, the trade talks continue. I believe we're going to see more of this going on for whatever they're worth. Until then, we want to close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Remember that very well. Whoever you are, whoever you're going to vote for in the runoff, we are all Liberians. Have a good night and God bless you.
We are Liberians.